Creativity is an addiction. Unplugged because we will always say yes to creativity. Totally Uncut because we all make mistakes. So let's turn it into a tool. This is Arroe Unplugged.
Hey, it's Arroe, and this is Vocal Defrag. This is where you ask the questions and you question the answers. We do this while on a transition walk through this beautiful forest in South Charlotte, North Carolina. So many times we complain about the moods that we're in. We do everything we can to get out of the bad moods or depressed moods, but we don't understand why we even got there. And I believe deep inside that the reason why people don't study their transitions is because they feel uneducated. Well, who am I to say? Well, you're right. Who are you to say? But you're you, and that inner you needs to be heard. Listening to it, taking notes, writing them down. I know, what a pain in the ass, right? But it works. It gives you an opportunity to vent, to find a place of freedom, to step through whatever is blocking you. That's what vocal defragging is all about. I defrag in a journal every day. Been doing that since November of 2017. I've been a daily writer since July of 1994. They're two completely 100% different forms of writing and journaling. But it works. It's just an opportunity to be heard. This is Vocal Defrag. Something very heavy on my heart. This has been going on now for 3 days. A quote came to me in a prayer, and it says, "We can only see what is before us. Everything else is assumption." We can only see what's before us. Everything else is assumption. Now, I brought it up on a podcast episode yesterday, but the angle that the writer and the performer took, the word before was before this moment. It wasn't before as in like what is going on right now, something that is visible to you right now, what is before you. So the writer yesterday took the angle of before I got to this moment, there was already a story in play. We can only see what is before us. Everything else is assumption. That word before is what's haunting me, because I'm not somebody who lives in the past. And I wonder if the quote came into the prayer because the higher energy of the universe was trying to say, you're spending too much time in the present, forgetting about where you are and how you came into being. Now, I want to put that in your heart, in your ears, in your sights, what is before you. Do you live in the past? Do you openly admit that, yeah, man, I'll tell you what, I had some good times in high school and I wish I was still there? See, thoughts like that don't come to me, but I want to know how you feel. When someone says we can only see what is before us, what was the direct expression that you felt? Was your word before, meaning the family before you, or what you see in your present place of now? And that's where my struggle is. Because if we put focus on how we got here, it's the same old story over and over again. Bob Crawford from the Avett Brothers said that history doesn't repeat itself. People don't change. Well, I believe that. We don't change. We bitch about change. We will do everything we can to stop change. So therefore, that's why I chose to live a mindful life. Because in this moment of now, we can create change. We can embrace it. We can be in a place where we can find inner peace. And if there is no peace, find it. Look for new directions. But if you're studying everything that came before you, the family traditions, the recipes, the toys that are in your toy box, all those different knickknacks that your grandparents had at one time, if all you do is live in the story before your present place of now, how does that affect you? Is there peace? One thing that I don't do is I don't go to funerals. I didn't go to my father's funeral. I didn't go to my brother's funeral or my sister's funeral. And I wasn't there for my mother's funeral. The reason why? Because I live in the present and I believe in the spirit of the universe. They are more with me today than what they were when we were living 2,000 miles apart. I'm in Carolina, they were in Montana. We didn't see each other that much. But in this moment of now, mindfully, I feel them more than any other time. So the word before, to me, is what am I visualizing in my right now, not before I got to this moment of now. I don't go back and read my journals. There's no reason to. It's already out. I've already lived it. It's like people will say, what's the greatest thing about talking with the performers that you do? Like, I've got a Jennifer Hudson interview coming up, and people go, are you excited about the interview with Jennifer Hudson? Well, the child inside that was in that bedroom at the age of 14 dreaming to be a radio disc jockey is very excited. But the realist, the mindful person, is thinking about what is before him. What do I see right now? That interview isn't until way later on. So therefore, I can't think about it. I can't get excited about it, because if you knew how many times I have been let down, most creative people are let down more than they find victory. We are told the word no so often. We don't become numb to it because we have so many feelings inside of us. We just become grateful and mindful when there is that one split second in time where you find yourself in a moment of victory. And how long do those moments last? But getting back to the interviews, when I do get the opportunity to talk with creative people who have found enormous amounts of success, the greatest part of that journey isn't landing the conversation. It's show prepping for the conversation. It's having the physical conversation, being in that moment of now. And then you share it. And once it's been shared, it doesn't belong to me anymore. Trying to learn that lifestyle has been one heck of a journey, because I'm a radio guy. Look, man, I was in terrestrial radio when podcasting with radio people started to happen. And radio people are going, no way, man, that's mine. I've got ownership on that. There's no way that I would want to put it out there, because this is where I need to be. I'm only loyal to one thing. I get it. That's the way radio people think. But in this day of streaming, song sharing, movie watching, it's about being in that moment of now, thinking about the receiver. How are you going to receive what is before you in this moment? Before you meaning, what do you see in your right now, not the story that you had to have before you got here. Being transparent, I do get a little loose in the heart when I see people with their parents and with other family members who are having a great relationship, having a closeness. I didn't have that with my family. And I think that sometimes I wish I would have had those moments where we could have been, like the Brady Bunch, working together as one, creating solutions as a happy family, having a music soundtrack like the Partridge Family. But I didn't have that. I learned how to be an individual by choice, because I came from a family of 8. I wasn't interested in traditions. I wasn't interested in, your great-grandmother did this. It just wasn't me as a kid. But being here in this present place of now, what is before me is that struggle. At 61 years in age, I sit here and I often wonder, what would life be like today if I had studied the family path? I lived it, but I didn't study it. Let's talk about you. What would happen if you would have spent less time worried about other members of your family and more time figuring out where your true peace really does work? Where would you be today? We can only see what is before us. Everything else is assumption. Now, here's the twist in the story. We did talk about what came before your moment of right now. I get it. But when we say we can only see what's before us, everything else is assumption, I think your past is the same exact way. You have bent your past in a way of personal acceptance. Was it really the way that you share the story? Or did you turn it and twist it and let it fall to the side just a little bit and then perk it back up on the other side, just so that it would fit perfectly into the ears of a passerby? We can only see what's before us. Everything else is assumption. I do know for a fact that people, when they share their family stories, it really didn't go that way, which is the very reason why I became a daily writer back in 1994, because my mother wouldn't share her stories with me. She would just say, I don't remember. I never wanted to plant my feet on that path. I don't remember what happened back in July of 1994, but if you go to my daily writing, it's right there. I'll go back and basically go, whoa, damn, yeah, that happened. I do remember it now, but I can't call it up immediately. It's a place of personal growth. But in that personal growth, you've got to really figure out where you are on your path of change. When we say before, is it before you got here, or what is before you in this present place of now? That's why I defrag, and I invite you to defrag as well. Ask yourself that question, and then question the answers. Build up a relationship with that inner self that you are that's been hidden away for so long. Well, because everybody's been judging you. Oh, because your boss says you have to do this. If you want to work here, you've got to be this way. But yet you've got so many creative thoughts that have been sitting there and waiting for your inner artist to bring them forward. What's before you? A big decision? You got a big decision on the way? What's before you? What are your plans? That term, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? I recently read an article that basically stated that's a bunch of blah, blah, blah. It's worthless. That most businesses today want to know what's before you, what's in your right now that you would like to work on. I recently had somebody ask me, they were trying to hire me for a broadcast company. They asked me, how do you fit in? Well, you can't ask me that question. Because I'm not that same guy that would say, I'll be whoever you want me to be at any given time. I just want the employment. I couldn't answer the question. So I put myself in research mode. I went and researched the company. I did everything humanly possible to create my own questions. And after seeing what they have to offer, my answer was, what I have been through over the past week is an opportunity to view what is before me. And what you are presenting before me isn't something that I fit into. This is who I am. Boom, 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 boom. How do you want me to fit in? We can only see what is before us. Everything else is assumption. Ask yourself that question. Question the answers. I think it's time that you begin a journey of defragging. I'm Arroe.